Oh, okay. Hello, 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 everybody. I hope you can hear me. Looks like the freaking internet gods have pissed me off again. Loose cables. Yeah, not a really good thing. Can everybody hear me? Just say yes, and can everybody hear Rob? Let's just Rob talk. So,
Nice to be with all you.
tell me if you can hear no echoes or anything like that, please. So I just need to just double check that the stream's working properly.
And type a lot faster than you currently are.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a little bit of a while, Rob. It is
Oh,
probably
does
about a
it?
15-20 second delay, I think there is.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, everybody perfect. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we had our computer glitches, and thank goodness I've got a very agile son who can get to somewhere in a very short period of time to make sure the wire's plugged in properly. But I'll do the Rob thing. Nice to be with you. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the Godfather himself, Rob Fisher, which I've really been looking forward to the show. So we're not going to talk about other shit. We're going to talk about Rob the whole night. Rob, thank you very much for being on the show with us tonight.
Only a pleasure. It's lovely to be here.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I'm just going to do the normal thing in the beginning. So Rob, for the lucky draw tonight, I will mention it later on. We use obviously Nightbot, and the key word for tonight is Godfather. So it's one word, Godfather. So you must make sure to type in Godfather sometime during the course of the evening, and you'll be in line for the lucky draw. So what I'm giving away from Sir Vape side is the full set of electric donuts, okay, which is the strawberry donut, the caramel peanut donut, and the blueberry. And then Rob has graciously going to give some stuff away, and it's the penguin and a dead rabbit SQ. So yeah, somebody tonight's going to be spoiled rotten. Thank you very much, Rob, for that.
Both of these are ordered internationally, and then Survive got them in before it arrived. So these are duplicates.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, let me just run through the normal story before we get into Uncle Rob, because I know lots of guys have got questions to ask him and the things that are happening, etc. We have had a lot of stock arrive, guys. Rob's actually got some of the stuff. I have not even had a chance to even open the stuff up. We have been hectically busy. So, stuff that has arrived that people were asking for was the TFV12 Prince sub-ohm tank. The TFV12 Prince starter kit has arrived. Just remember, that's the top airflow, if I remember correctly, tank. So Rob, there actually could be a sub-ohm tank that you might like, because it's top airflow, so it might not leak. But I haven't played with it yet. For those women that were wanting those shocking pink Asmodus Minikin V2s, they are in stock. And then we've obviously got the colossal 80 watt by Asmodus, which Rob has already got, which I'll do a review on if Rob hasn't done one already.
I haven't, and it's bloody marvelous.
And it looks like a really nice.
It's really cute, and it works really well.
Yeah, we've also got those Asmodus Mosaic Luna Squonker mods in. I have not opened one yet, but from outside they look absolutely stunning. The stab wood on these are really pretty. What else? And then there's the Lustro. The new Lustro from Asmodus has arrived, and then a shitload of juices, more juices than I'm actually going to mention. So there's a whole lot of stock that's arrived in the shop, and I will do a review on some of the devices when I get to play with them. There's little short videos. For those people that were complaining there's too many things out of stock at Sir Vape, we have cleaned up the entire website and got rid of, or when I say entire, probably 70% of the website, and got rid of anything that we won't be getting in again, and made a list up of things that we will have to get. So sorry about that, but we eventually got to it. Oh, Baby Chew.
Baby Chew, do you want to say hello to all the peeps, Baby Chew? Yes. Tell them about the Nudge 22, Chew.
Yes, that Nudge is good, eh? Yeah, Nudge is very good. Yeah, so I'll do that when I get a gap to do those things. What else from Sir Vape side? Nothing really. We are going to be putting out some information what's happening around Sir Vape in the upcoming days. But yeah, that's it. So, time to ask Rob some questions. Rob, I know what you're going to say already. Okay, so I'm not going to say it. If you were stuck on a desert island with endless supply of juice, what would the juice be that you took with you? Yeah, didn't even think twice. Okay, I knew that answer was going to be because I've got the same bottle here next to me. And if you had to take one single mod with you, what would the mod be that you took with?
That's a difficult one. It's going to be one of the two. Probably a billet box because it's just so versatile. But my favorite of all is the Bar V3 with the Skyline on top.
A little bit about it, and if you were talking in layman's terms, what mod would you take? Because obviously that's some of those things are a little bit out of most people's price bracket.
And can I take my vape droid?
Yep, you can take that. Yeah, you can take that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take my vape droid with a vapor giant on top.
Ah, that's lekker. And if you had to take a second juice, what would that juice be?
Oh shit, that would be a hard one. Probably Kush or Haywire 22.
Oh, okay. You liking that Haywire 22? Good juice, huh?
Yeah. Look, I vape Red Bull probably 98% of the time, but every now and again I like the Toffelux mint. I like the Haywire 22. I still use Slug Juice and Milky Way.
Cool beans. I heard you say the Nudge 22 earlier on. How are you enjoying it?
I haven't got one yet.
Not?
I'm waiting for Survape.
Okay, yeah, I've got testers. So you're going to have to enter. I'm doing a draw for I've got the 2 Nudge 22s that they sent me for review. I'm about to put up the review on it, and I have to say, epic little RDA, hey? You might not like the drip tip, though, because the drip tips are really wide bore, and it's quite chunky. You might not like the drip tip. Although it does come with a 510 adapter that you can put there, but it's, and it's got the same deck as an SMM.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite easy to build on, and it's the flavor on this is really, really, really good. But my review's ready. I've just been delaying it until we knew that the stock was on its way. So, Mr.
I'm not really. I battle. RDAs and me just don't get on.
Why though?
Because they're a pain in the arse. You either got too much juice in or too little. They leak. They're messy. It's just such a pain in the arse. And and it's never consistent because you've either got too much juice or not enough or in between. Whereas with an RTA, I've got 100% perfection on every single vape.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid point. Very valid point. I actually never thought about it that way.
Yeah, but also it's the red pill. Red pill does not like going into an RDA or a squonker, and so you've got to take that with a pinch of salt, because if you're using something like Milky Way, that's different. I'm quite happy with an RDA, and when I test juices, I test in an RDA. But for my everyday vape, it's tanks, RTAs for me.
I have to say that I never thought about it that way, because I've used mostly, or up until the Kylan Mini, the Bravo, and the Blitzen, I haven't used a tank for I don't know how long. I saw that you did post something that I didn't get a chance to read them. What are your thoughts on the Kylan Mini?
The Kylan Mini is really, really good. I mean, this thing there's not been even condensation. Hang on, let's just turn this stupid mod on. This H cigar turns itself off after a while. The Kylan Mini, and I hated the original Kylan, so I really didn't want to get the Mini, and then you said to me, I've got to get it, so I thought, okay, well, I got it, and I must say, it leaves the Zeus, the Pharaoh, the Blitzen, the Bravo, leaves them all standing.
And what coil did you put in, if you don't mind me asking?
A .66.
What type of coil?
Fused Clapton.
Fused Clapton. Okay. Yeah,
That's pretty much all that I use these days.
Yeah, I have to say that I tried my normal build type of builds in there, and it was good. And then I put a Fused Clapton in, and that's when I really thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I always used to think that all these fancy coils were a heap of crap, because I used to buy the Chinese ones and I tried them, and I just didn't get it. And everybody was putting up these pictures of these fancy coils and saying how great they were, and I just never ever got it. And then one day Rian sent me a PM and said, look, he wants to send me some coils to try, and I humored him. I said, go right ahead. But in my mind I was thinking, just more shit that I'm never going to use. And then I popped it into the Skyline, and immediately I picked up the phone and I phoned him and I said, what the hell is different between your coil and all the other coils that I've tried? And essentially he said to me, it's the quality of the NR80. And I just
massive difference, eh?
Yeah, huge. It's chalk and cheese. I mean, buying a Chinese one is just a waste of time. Rather just get yourself quality NR80 and do your own coil.
Yeah, also the bonus with that, good quality wise, those coils will last a long time. If you look
absolutely. I get months out of mine. Months.
I've got a record set of it's sitting about 9. Okay, I don't use the device all the time, but it's sitting about 9 months. I get a set built up for my Elite, and I've still got the exact same set that he put in. So it's actually more than 9 months. It must be almost closer to a year now, and the thing's still not a problem with it whatsoever. Just one quick question that came in from Brad. Rob, I've always wanted to know how you got into the vaping scene. Do people your age, and Brad, I think Rob will, if he sees you, is going to give you a clap.
And I'm a bully. I'm a bully.
Rack your brain, and why you vape instead of smoking Cuban cigars?
Okay, I was never a big cigar smoker anyway, but I was a heavy smoker. I used to smoke anywhere between 40 and 60 a day. And obviously for health reasons. I mean, I used to wake up in the morning coughing till I nearly vomited. I couldn't even walk up my driveway to put the rubbish out. I'd have to stop. So it really was a health issue. I went on to Champex and managed to stop smoking for about 2 months. But I was ratty, I was unhappy. And we were actually on a tour in Turkey, doing a bus tour. And every time the bus stopped, the guys got off and had a cigarette. And for me, it was just, I could smell that, when you first light up. And eventually I would have a drag of the one guy from the Philippines. And then eventually I started smoking again. And I got pressure from my wife, because obviously she didn't want me to die. And so I went and got a Twisp, the old Clero. And I had tried those other ones, the cigar lights, but none of those worked. And the Twisp Clero was kind of the first device that really worked for me, apart from the fact that I used to get that horrible juice in my mouth. And that was me. I mean, from that day onwards, I never ever touched the cigarette. I haven't touched the cigarette in 4.5 years.
Sure.
And, I know there's all this bullshit on Facebook about this is good for you, that's bad for you. And everyone's saying, well, let's wait for the big tests. I don't need to wait for diddly squat, because I know the change in my health was chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
I can go for a 6-kilometer walk now, no problem. And that's purely from giving up smoking.
That's the amazing thing, though, is that you only appreciate it once you've actually made the change, and you can't explain it to anybody. You can't explain
no,
it.
You can't.
I could do this and I could do that now. Well, I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that now. I can do this.
People, look,
non-smokers, they don't actually understand it.
No, and look, it wasn't easy. I mean, I gave up because I had to, but there were timelines. Like after 2 weeks, I felt really different, and then after a month, the food started tasting completely different, and that first 6 months is actually a fantastic journey for a smoker to give up. That first 6 months is just great fun.
And when you had your first green salad, you could taste the lettuce.
Yeah, I never realized lettuce had a taste.
Yeah, I've actually used, because I remember you telling me that many years ago, and you actually only realize that lettuce actually does have a taste. Smokers can't taste that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. Obviously everybody looks up to you because you are getting all the greatest, latest and greatest. Anything that you can see coming on the horizon that people need to look out for?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I'm looking forward to getting the new Squape RTA. That's the Squape E. It's they've reduced the price, and that I should have tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. On Friday, the new bridge for the billet box called the Vape Shell from Atmazoo is being released. And that looks very interesting. I haven't seen the deck. They've kept it very secret, but he's shipping mine on Friday. So I should have that early next week. That's really exciting. The flow for the flow that I use pretty much all the time. The version 1.2 is going to be released in the next month or two. And they're doing it out of stainless steel instead of titanium, so it'll be cheaper. I'm looking forward to that. But apart from that, the thing that really is changing of recent is the quality Chinese mods. I mean, you take a look at this Warwolf from H Cigar. This is Modus Colossus or Colossal. I mean, these are absolutely fantastic. Okay, this one's a little bit more expensive. This is the M class, but these are all high quality. And then you get your high end stuff like this, and the difference in price is so massive that it's very hard to justify. Unless you're a collector or you're a lunatic like I am.
I'm glad you said that.
It's very hard to justify because bear in mind this is handmade.
Yeah.
So are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. Do they last forever? No. In fact, I've got two high-end mods in Finland in Norway being repaired. So it's not only normal mods that break. Even the fancy high-end ones do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got this Armed Eagle, which is from Golden Greek, beautifully made. I mean, it's really stunning. But I'm just not getting the flavor that I am from Skylines and stuff. It seems that the menthol blasts through for some reason, but not the others. So it's very difficult. I don't know that you can design a tank on paper and it's just going to come out perfectly. I mean, I'm testing actually two new RTAs, one for a Polish company and one for a Greek company. And it's really interesting that you get them and they look fantastic. The design is magic. And I mean, the one I've had to say to the guy, just scrap it and start again. It looks outstanding. I mean, if you saw it, you would want one, but the flavor's just not there.
Yeah, I have to. Have you tried the Aries?
Yeah, very nice.
Because I have to say, I've been using it as a Mautulanga, and I've got Red Bull in it, and I have to say, there I'm getting the true old school Triple X. Out of the Aries, being a Mautulanga. It's an epic little Mautulang tank, and I'm getting the flavor that I remember what Red Bull or Triple X, the original Triple X, used to taste like.
Yeah, just very much so.
From Kazor, Rob, do you still have hardware from when you started vaping and still use it now and then?
Yeah, stand by.
Just don't scratch your balls, eh?
Okay.
Sure, no, that brings back memories.
Yeah. Anybody tell me what this is?
Let's see if anybody can guess what that is. I think the older guys will know what that is.
Yeah.
I've actually got 3 of those in the shop.
Really?
A guy came in and he says, I've got this device and I can't seem to get it to work, and it doesn't. So I said, not a problem. He has a V8 stick, and I saw, and I think 2 of them. I had one of my own, and 2 of them I swapped a V8 stick for them because that's in vaping terms, that's a relic. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, this is the Russian 91,
yeah.
and it's on top of a Sigeli 20 watt.
Is that the 20? I've got the 10 watt one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got one 10 watt and 2 20 watt ones.
Now my 10 watts lying at the bottom of Inanda Dam.
Smock V1, no, it's not a Smock V1.
And Ohm's Raw, he was asking about my Dendro. Yes, I got that. I got it back.
Oopsie.
Yeah, it came back this week.
What was wrong with it?
The 510 had come loose because, like a goose, it got stuck, and instead of me doing it gently, I was like a bull in a china shop.
Just on that note, there is that, and I think Hugo's got them on the way. I actually saw Rob before the show actually doing it. You get these little plastic. Have you got one handy with you? Those little plastic in-betweeners. I don't know what the right name. What I've actually told guys to do is you can actually get laminating sheets and actually laminate them and cut them out. It will prevent any tank getting stuck onto your mod.
Oh, yes. Now, I use those all the time now. Yes, anti-savers.
Anti-savers, yeah. I've got Hugo bringing some in. You can see it's a little like a plastic.
There they are.
Yeah. You can actually, if you know somebody who's got a laminating sheet, just actually push the laminating sheet through the laminator, so it obviously binds the 2 levels, and then mark your ATI out and cut it out, and actually obviously you have to cut a hole for the 510 and then for the right size, and then screw that between your ATI and the actual device, and then your devices won't lock onto your mod, which is quite a clever little thing, because we've had a couple of those actually in the shop where the guys have tightened the thing so badly that it actually strips the whole 510, and yeah, that's a bit of an issue. Obviously, yeah. Rob, another one. I just can't see any other questions there. Obviously, you involved with VapeCon, which is the biggest vape expo that we have in Southern Africa. Last year was a great success, I think. Anything different this year? Keeping the same venue? Any news on that?
We've been. I mean, we really were tempted to move to somewhere like the Dome or one of the other big places, because obviously we need more space. But the cost difference was so big moving from Hartfeld. So we decided to stick with Hartfeld one more year. Because in the moment we start going to vendors and saying, oh yeah, you paid $6,000 for a spot last year, this year it's going to be 15 grand. I think that would have just been way too much. And plus we've got a relationship with them. We've got a few, I mean, there are lots of areas at Hartfeld that people don't really see. And we'll be using the whole of Hartfeld this year. There's rooms upstairs, there's a bar upstairs. Just for those that don't know, it's Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th of August. And we said it was going to be mega epic in 2017. It's going to be double mega epic because it's 2 days. We're kind of hoping that the crowds...
that's Saturday, Sunday, eh?
Yes, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, we're going to have all the specials and prizes and all the vendors there. There's a lot of interest from internationals this year. Obviously, we're going to be very strict on which ones we get, because obviously VapeCon was created to promote South African vaping. So obviously the South African and obviously the e-cigs SA vendors are going to get first choice like they always do. But We're probably going to have a Modders Gallery this year. And for those of you who don't know what a Modders Gallery is, it's where all the high-end and very small specialist companies, they have like just a little table, and there's a whole group of them. When I went to the Vape Expo in Paris last year, I mean, I spent probably 80% of my time in the Modders Gallery there, and there were people, the guys from Frank, that make the Frankenskull. There was Amber Mods. There was Otis. The guys that make the Insider. Can't remember, but plenty of high-end and specialist stands.
And is that going to be available to the South African modders or modders in general?
Oh yes, no, absolutely. I mean, if there are, I mean, we've got one or two South African modders, but certainly, absolutely, we'd rather. VapeCon is for the South African. It's to promote vaping in South Africa. So yeah, there will most certainly be a couple of South African modders there as well.
I just see there now. One of the things is that we have a German, somebody from Germany watching, Dr. Oram, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Then I better take out this and show him. But it's Austrian. It's not really German.
Yeah. And your opinions on where the vape scene's going? We've obviously had this long discussion on the other chats that I've had other guests. Obviously, as you've watched a couple of my shows, I predicted the squonker thing that was going to hit, and it hit with vengeance. I see it slowly starting to die off now.
The sooner it dies off, the better.
Don't be a Philistine now. Don't be a Philistine.
If I see another plastic squonker, I'm going to kill myself.
Okay, you can't watch the video. I've got another one, yeah.
Okay. Look, I mean, squonking has definitely got a place. I mean, I squonked for probably the first 2 years of my vape journey with Rios. Yeah. And back in those days, it worked for me really well because I vaped a very intense menthol called Tropical Ice in a small 14 mil Atty, and it just worked so perfectly for me. And then as these new bottom fed Atties started coming out, I tried them all. I mean, I bought some really expensive ones, and by then I'd switched to Triple X, and I could not get a RDA to work for me. And I eventually gave up squonking to a very large degree. And it's only recently that I've discovered that it's actually Triple X, aka Red Pill, that doesn't do well in the squonker. I mean, I've got the most beautiful stabwood squonker coming from Limelight. I mean, I saw the pictures of it today. It's just too beautiful. So look, I do still squonk. I've still got my Rios. I mean, I've probably got 9 Rios in the back there.
Okay.
But until I find a juice that I can vape constantly, I've got off the question, where's vaping going? Obviously, closed systems are going to be big this year. There's actually a few companies. I mean, there are lots of them out there. Unfortunately, the only ones that I think have really done any good is the Twist Q and the Fix. I've tried some of the others. Oh, look, and the what's that other one? The one that takes Nick Salt's?
Gusto.
Yeah, the Gusto. But the problem is, for somebody like me who only vapes one juice, if I can't put my juice in there, it's no good. I mean, I've tried them all. I mean, I used the Q when it first came out because Twist sent me a couple before they were launched.
Yeah.
And I actually used them on the aeroplane flying to Paris. And I was actually really surprised at the show that a lot of the people there were using, particularly the Americans, were using them. And I said to them, you own a bloody juice company. Why are you vaping on a Fix, which is like a Q? And it's because they're so busy, they haven't got time to play. They just grab a pod and off they go.
Yeah, I must say, I think a lot of that is for convenience sake.
Yes.
They are handy. Like if you're just going to shoot out to the shops, or you going to go watch a movie or dinner or whatever like that, just to pop a cue in your pocket and off you go.
Yeah.
Especially on a plane, it makes life easier. With a cue, you can hide that thing as a USB stick, and people don't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I prefer to travel with a billet box because I get perfect flavor every time. I get fantastic battery life, and if I hold my breath, I mean, I literally vaped from the moment I got on the aeroplane. Okay, I did use the Q a bit as well because I was testing it, but my billet box was used probably more. If you hold your breath, no vapor comes up.
Yeah.
And my story is, if I get caught, I say, I wasn't firing it. I was just tasting the residue, because there is no vapor coming out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I vaped from Durban to Joburg to Paris and back again, and I never had any issues.
Okay. Just another one, which might be I think it could be quite a long topic if you wanted to really get into it. What's your opinion on Twisp selling out to BAT?
My initial feeling was, oh, that's a real bummer. But quite frankly, if I owned Twisp, I would also sell out, because I mean that's some of the reasons that you build companies to sell them for a whole lot of money.
Not so concerned about the situation of them selling it out to make money. My concern is more from a perspective of you have a tobacco giant here.
100%. Exactly. I understand exactly. I've chatted to the guys at just quite a lot, and they kind of indicate that they're being left alone to do their own thing. But I mean, big tobacco have got to be out of their minds if they don't get into this game. I mean, they realize, I mean, you have to be a rocket scientist to realize that for the first time in living history, the number of smokers in the world's going down. That's never happened.
Yeah.
So that big tobacco have no option but to get into the game. Do I like it? No, I don't. Do I hate them? Yes, I do. You know, they poisoned us for so many years, and now they've seen their arse and they want to get into our game.
Yeah, because just from a perspective which you might have seen or might not have seen, is the competitions board has started sending out emails to vape companies, and the questions that they are asking sounds like something's brewing. I don't know if you'd heard of anything like that or whatever.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, quite a few Joburg guys, and I did see something, but I saw something which said .gov and whatever on my emails, but I didn't read it. I'm assuming that we've got one as well, because some of the Joburg shops have already received theirs. So I'm assuming that that's the problem that the vaping industry in South Africa has, which I see going forward, is these likes of BAT, etc., have got the capital to squash in third world countries, which is obviously a great concern for not only the vapors, but for vape shops and juice manufacturers and stuff like that, and mod makers, etc. If they decide that they want to. And unfortunately, having the government that we do have, where you can grease a palm quite easily, that's probably one of my biggest concerns at the moment. From a BAT buying out one of the local guys.
100%. That's my only real worry.
Yeah, scary.
Except that at the end of the day, it's going to be really hard for them to legislate us out of the game. Because, I mean, people are going to just, no one's going to tell me what I can vape and what I can buy.
Yeah, I can understand that. Obviously, there's black market, but, look at just what's happened in Malaysia. Did you hear what happened?
Yeah.
You know, they raided every single solitary vape shop and took every single solitary bottle of juice that had nicotine in it. You know.
Okay, and watch what happens. It's early days. I mean, we're in the early days of vaping. Now, watch what happens when Thailand suddenly realize that they're losing their tourism, which is what they live on.
Yeah.
Because there's no ways I'm going to Thailand. They can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
There's no way. And it's the same as the Middle East. I'm not going to the Middle East. And am I going to go to Malaysia? No, absolutely not. Of course I'm not. So, you know, at this stage, vaping has not reached those critical numbers, although it's growing at a hell of a rate. But pretty soon, these countries are going to realize that they're going to have to be vape friendly. I mean, the fact that they're doing it is absolutely moronic, and it's purely down to government corruption, obviously.
Yeah.
But eventually, the tide will turn.
I also see. I think I stand to be corrected. The country, but I think Singapore. I read an article that they've just banned vaping.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand they're quite a strict country when it comes to chewing bubble gum and whatever. But then you're allowed to smoke. I just can't. I battle being the type of person that I am to fathom that they would actually. You know.
Yeah. It's absolutely moronic. I mean, you go to Thailand and the people are smoking everywhere. I mean, it's the same in Paris. I mean, when I went walking in Paris when I got there, and literally within 2 seconds there was an oak blowing smoke near me, and I was like, "Geez, you stink!" But after a while, you get used to it because everybody smokes there. Yeah, I know. Let's change the subject because I get so upset. I want to just kill.
Just carrying it on a little bit. Dreschen is obviously a South African who lives in the UK, and he watches the show on a regular basis. And you know, I think they have stopped it now. But you used to be able to get your a vaping pen. Okay, not a mod, but a vaping pen on your national health. And then X amount of juice that you're allowed to get on your national health. You know, that's a progressive.
Absolutely.
And you know, this is what my biggest thing with this whole thing is that you've got the home of modern medicine saying that it's this. You know, that's where modern medicine came from. And if they can, why can't the rest of the world see it? It's like fucking blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Yeah.
Huge. Before we both lose our shit, there was a question from Ronaldo. Let me just see where it was. From Ronaldo Yonke. He was asking about Red Bull versus Triple X. Triple X originally had diacetyl in it, and the flavor was absolutely fantastic. Then when everybody went mockadori about diacetyl in the juice and they went crazy, Vapor Mountain decided to reconstitute Triple X and make sure that it had no diacetyl in it. And he kept quiet about it, and my stock of juice arrived, and I filled up a tank, and I immediately phoned him and said, "What the hell is wrong with this juice?" He says, "Oh, I didn't think you'd notice." And I mean, to me, it's really, really different. They're both lychee menthol berry vapes, but Triple X Original, or Red Bull as it's called now, has a very special concentrate in it that has traces of diacetyl. Do I worry about it? Absolutely not. I mean, if you think of the diacetyl levels that I was getting when I was smoking, they were like hundreds and hundreds of times higher. I've been vaping Triple X, aka Red Bull, for 4.5 years non-stop without any issues at all.
Just so that you know, for those guys who maybe not know new to vaping or whatever, diacetyl, the highest reported case of diacetyl in a juice was actually one of as far I stand to be corrected on this, but was one of 5 pawns' juice, and I think it was called was Castle Long, wasn't it?
Yes.
And at that highest reported level of diacetyl was still 10,000 times less than what's in a cigarette. Okay, so no one smoking a cigarette has died of diacetyl poisoning. Okay, so and diacetyl, and where they get the popcorn lung from is I don't know what country they were in a popcorn factory that made these spices that have the butter spices that you buy, that you put onto your popcorn, that has diacetyl in it. And they weren't wearing the protective masks that they were supposed to, because obviously that's airbound when you're dealing with those spices, and 8 of them died from diacetyl poisoning, and that's where the terminology popcorn lung came from, because they actually popcorn. But there's never been a reported case of a smoker or a vapor ever dying of diacetyl poisoning. So yeah, I have no problem in putting diacetyl in any juice, because there's no way that you're going to be able to die from that stuff. The problem is the vapors are their own worst enemy, and this vape company is against this vape company because they take in their margins, and that's the way the whole thing actually got out. Is that one company was against another company, and they tested their juices and found that their juices had high diacetyl, and this is how the whole thing started. So the less we can. And what I've said in last week's video is, do not share all the shit that you find on Facebook. Don't share it with your mate. Just ignore it, because the more we share this stuff, and the more we watch and read these articles, the more it gets cycled around through the Facebook and the other social media platforms. It's all designed by the tobacco and pharmaceuticals industry to try and cause a panic as such. Yeah. Guys, come ask some questions, man. You've got Mr. Fisher here, the Godfather. You tell him to grab a mod out, let him show a mod if you want to see one of his mods. I've got nothing else really to say, so I'm pretty here to field some questions. Just check. Okay, then let's show everybody the mod that I'm using at the moment. It's my latest mod. I got it yesterday or today. It glows in the dark, and it's from Ashley Field's Midnight Mods. In fact, if ever you're considering getting yourself a high-end mod, do yourself a favor and try and get a Ashley Fields mod. The build quality is, there's this one I got the other day. Also, this is a Bar V3, 18650, and that's what chips V3. Are, just so that people know what chipsets are in there?
Both DNA 75Cs.
Okay, so that's the color screens, eh?
Yes, yes.
Okay. One of my friends, Dastrick, says, well, I once died of diacetyl but drank a panada and got better. Ohms Raw Daniel says, why do you buy pink mods?
Because I'm in touch with my feminine side. This is a CLZX. That's a DNA 75. This is a Brutal. This is not pink, it's purple, and this is a DNA 75C. I love Juma, and the reason I love Juma is because I obviously started off with all these fancy stab woods, and the problem with wood, unless it's been really treated well with a CA covering, the juice spillages and stuff damage the wood, absolutely damage the wood. I'm just trying to think of which stab wood. Oh no, I haven't got it here. But Juma is awesome. But also, if you look at this one's stab wood and this fancy glow in the dark stuff. But this wood has been sealed beautifully.
Yeah. I've got two questions. You can say no to answer these questions if you want. Both ask the same thing. Rob, give us a plus minus amount you spend on hardware only. You can refuse if you don't want to. Yeah, that's not a problem.
This month I've probably spent, it's the 7th. I've probably spent about 40,000 this month, but this was a heavy month.
And your average month?
I try not to work it out because, I mean, I just go and if I go and look at my PayPal account, it's scary. But you know what? For me, I've worked my ass off. I've got a really successful IT company that pays me really well. And at this stage of my life, I mean, vaping really saved my life. It really did. I know it's dramatic, my wife tends to roll her eyes when I say things like this, but it really did save my life. And I don't care. I don't care. For me, it's the eternal looking for the perfect vape.
I have to say, from another passionate person about vaping, I haven't yet come across somebody as more passionate than me besides you, I have to say.
Yeah, for me, it's a religion. It really is a religion. Look, I'm probably not as vocal as I used to be because I get tired of arguing with people. But I still, when I walk around shopping centers and I see smokers, I tell them that they stink and they're going to die. And then I try and communicate with them. If they're open, then I will talk to them. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm still playing around on e-cigs SA as an admin, and why I get involved in VapeCon, because all of it it's all, I don't get paid for any of that. It's just purely because I'm passionate about vaping and I want everybody to vape rather than smoke.
Yeah, no. Just a quick question, because I know we've supplied you before. How many people do you think, plus minus, of your friends, acquaintances, people that you know in general, have you got off smoking?
Probably over 200. And the reason I say that is because my fishing club's really big. And when I joined the fishing club, it was a smoking club that fished occasionally, a smoking and drinking club. And now at our vape meets, it's so funny when if we've got a club competition, you can see where all our guys are on the dam because you just see big plumes of cloud because everybody vapes there now. I think we've got one smoker left.
Serious?
Yeah.
You know, I just from a survey perspective, we'd love to come to one of those things and for guys to, you know, bring a whole lot of stuff for guys to have and play around with and do whatever they want if they want, and with the greatest of pleasure. Eh?
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So if you want us to do that, we're more than happy to do that. Eh? And by the way, you slow me the time to go fishing. I just off on a sidetrack of vaping.
The fishing is really, really tough at the moment. You know, the dam levels have been so low. Look, Midmar is going to overflow this week, which is really exciting, but the fishing is really tough. So it's a real slog out there.
Bad day of fishing on the dam is still better than a good day in the office.
100%. Yeah, okay. No, absolutely no question. Couple of questions I just need to answer here.
Okay.
Hardest Faris says Yeehee versus DNA chip. Personal preference, I like the DNA because it's really simple. I'm used to it. But I mean, I've got the new Yeehee chip and it's fantastic. It's chalk and cheese. It's not chalk and cheese. They're very, very similar. And I think it's a personal preference thing. Had this got a DNA chip in it, I would have bought it, but it didn't. It had a Yeehee chip. So I wanted the MX class. Really, really nice. I'm just more comfortable with the DNA because I have more DNA mods and I'm more used to them. And the DNA 75C I really like because you can change the screen layout really simply. They've made it idiot-proof. You don't have to use the whole of eScribe. You've got a little thing called Theme Designer, and you can just go and download themes and upload it to your mod. So my choice would be a DNA 75C. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the EE chip. It's very, very advanced.
Yeah, those two chips are probably, they're the best two chips on the market currently,
Big
in my
time.
opinion.
Kazor Louis asked me what my worst mod and atomizer ever. Yes, I've had so many crap. I'll try and pick one out. Yes, I can't. My biggest disappointment was the Leo RTA, which is a fancy high-end. It cost me a bloody arm and a leg, and it was dog shit. It really was crap. I've got rid of all the things, so it's hard. K-funds, all K-funds. Every single K-fund those are the worst tanks I've ever. I think the problem was because originally we could only get clones, and the clones were, the Carlin was also cuck. Yeah, that first Carlin was not a big fan of. But let me tell you, this one, chalk and cheese, they've really sorted out their issue. I mean, I've had it for 2 days now, and I mean, I took the tank off, and even my fancy Skylines, when you take the tank off, you always get a little bit of condensation, but the Carlin, zero, absolutely zero.
Yeah, I have to say that Carlin Mini is a really good tank, a really good tank. And I like the fact that they put that honeycomb airflow, which I think that I obviously I'm not a designer and stuff like that, but that honeycomb airflow spreads that air perfectly around those coils. The coil that you've got in there. So yeah, I'm a big lover of the honeycomb somewhere involved in a tank, that diffuses the air nicely.
At the end of the day, I would say that this is probably the best Chinese tank that's ever been made.
Sure.
That's a big shout out, but I mean, the flavor's on point. It's single coil. It's easy to build, and I've had absolutely zero leaking.
Just what wicking did you? Because I did my little thing that I call the bow tie method. Okay.
I only use the bow tie method.
Okay, so you did use that. Okay.
Yeah, there's only one. I think the Zeus is the only one that you need more tails. You showed me that bow tie method, and essentially that's what I've used ever since.
Cool.
The bow tie method seems to work in all of my Skylines, everything.
Cool.
You've just all you've got to do is you've got to actually look at where you put the tails in, and make sure that it's not crammed in but full.
Yeah.
So if the holes like the Zeus are much bigger, you need to put in your tails have got to be bigger.
Yeah.
But and I love this bulb. I mean, I love the fact that this thing's got a decent amount of juice in it, and it doesn't look like a gigantic tank.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Okay, we're coming to the tail end of the show now. Just if you've got any more questions, just pop them up there. Just if you're new to watching, and that we got a lucky draw tonight, obviously like we do on every show. I'm giving away the range of electric donuts in whatever milligram you want, 0, 3 or 6. There's the strawberry donut, caramel peanut donut, and then the blueberry donut. And Rob has graciously put up a penguin and a Dead Rabbit 22 SQ. So yeah, that's what the winner will get tonight, and you must use the word Godfather, and it's obviously Godfather in all one word, so don't forget to do that.
Just a shout out for this penguin. It's a funny looking device, but it's a semi-closed system, but you use your own juice. This impressed the hell out of me. I mean, I use this when I go fishing, so if it drops overboard, I don't care because it's such a reasonable price. But the quality of the vape on this is fantastic.
Yeah, actually, funny. We never got them in, but I borrowed one for a weekend of mates of mine who had one, and I was pleasantly surprised on that as well. Pleasantly surprised on that one. I have to say though, out of those poddy type systems, the only one that I'm really liking is the Q. Funny enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They've had a couple. They've redesigned evidently the pods, because there were some pods that were cracking. They have redesigned it, And as far as I know, there's 3 more flavors coming. So that'll be lekker.
The fix is also PHIX. That's also a very good one. It's very similar to the Q, but you don't get it in South Africa, I don't think.
Yeah, no, there's a hell of a lot of them, eh? If I go look in Hugo's drawer, because we were looking before the Q came on to get one of those, because it's something that you do need, because not everybody wants to pick up a big device and stuff like that. And Hugo has bloody gone through those things. He must have 10 in his drawer, 10, 15 different brands in his what's name.
Yeah.
And then the Q's pretty much it. Rob, anything else from your side before I do the draw, man?
Just really nice to be with you all, and keep on vaping, and we'll see you in Pretoria, all of you. I promise you, if you've never been to a vape expo, do yourself a favor and try and get to VapeCon. It is just awesome. Look, it's not just the fact that you get special deals. It's not just the fact that you get to meet all your vendors. It's just a chance to meet and mix with all the people. I mean, that's one of the nice things that we're going to have this year with 2 days, is that it's not going to be everyone rushing and then everyone rushing out. There's going to be time to mix and chat, and it's going to be awesome. We've got more food trucks coming, more drinks coming, and it's just, I mean, if you're a vapor, you want to be at VapeCon.
Yeah, I have to say, this year coming up, myself and Hugo are going to do things differently. I don't know what we're going to do, because my God, I was broken, absolutely broken.
I know what you're going to do. You're going to bring up your staff, and you're going to come and join me and walk around and chat to people.
Yeah, maybe. But yes, I was broken.
Absolutely. I mean, when that's all over, I mean, you don't realize that. There's so much organization and so much that happens before the time, and then it's so intense at the time. By the time when you leave there, you are absolutely finished.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
And then, okay, what I'm definitely doing is I'm not driving up there this year. I'm flying up. Fucking, there's no way I'm driving up again.
I know. I like to drive because I need to get up there about a week before to do.
No, different for you. But from our side, there's not a fuck. I'm driving up there again. No, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you got to drive home after that. No.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
Okay, Rob's going to stay online, but he's going to duck. You won't see him now because I'm going to bring up the lucky draw. Okay. As you can see, I need to hide Rob's photograph there. I can leave Rob's photograph there. I'll just leave it right there. For those who have seen this before, basically this is an online random draw scenario, and you can see now that these slider bars are all the way to supporter luck and regular luck. So the people who've watched me more and the people who have made comments on my videos and stuff have got more chance of winning. Okay, your keyword is Godfather, which you can see highlighted over there, and then what I do is I roll it 3 times, and the person on the 3rd roll is the winner, and we only have one winner, and that's the guy who'll get all the prizes, and we send it to you free of charge. If you're in Durban, obviously you can come and collect it. These are all the entries that have used the word Godfather, and I'm going to roll it for the first time. Going to roll it for the 2nd time, and the lucky winner of tonight's show is T-Vapes. If you can please get a hold of me, and we'll organize. I think you are in Durban. If you can please get hold of me, and we'll arrange for your prize to get out to you. Congratulations. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, guys, just like I said, thank you very, very much for watching. It's been nice having Rob on the show. He's a mountain of information, and obviously he's knows what's happening down low firsthand. So yeah, Rob, thank you very much for being on the show with us. Greatly appreciated.
It's been nice to be with you all.
And sorry, we were going to play his music, but for some reason, both of our mics will not allow outside music to play for some reason. So we were going to play his intro, but unfortunately we couldn't do that. We did try to sort it out. But yeah, guys, thanks very much for watching. See you next week. Cheers.